How's she doing?
Yeah.
She's trying to get her rehab done every day. She's spending some time, getting some shots up when she can. She's been keeping her conditioning up and getting in the weight room a lot. And just waiting on time. And hopefully we'll find out, this week at some point, how close we are.
Doug Feinberg.
Hey, Geno. Hypothetically, in 30 minutes, you're going to move up to number one in the poll. It's the 9th straight year you guys would be number one, which is by far blows everyone away in that. Just talk about the consistency to be able to be number one every year for the last decade or so.
Yeah, it becomes a little more meaningful or significant, whatever the word you want to use, when you see some programs and where they were 9 years ago and where they are today. And here we are, 9 years ago, and here we are today, and where were we 9 years ago? And, you appreciate it for sure. When you see how hard it is that other really, really good programs, the difficulty of being that consistent, it does bring a sense of, we're fortunate that we put ourselves in that position every year. That's always been my goal. My goal is not to be number one in the country February 15th. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I was saying. It's always been my goal to make sure that every year we're in the conversation and we're in contention, and that we have a chance, that we have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. Some years we have a better chance than others. Some years our opportunity is, greater than others. But, for 9 years, 10 years, we've been able to do that through a lot of different players, a lot of different changes. And some years it works out where you actually do finish number one, and other years it doesn't. But that's not, that's not the key to success. Is every year finish the season, winning a national championship, being number one in the country. I more than anyone else know how difficult it is to do that. The real success is putting yourself, in that group each and every single solitary year. That's something for us to be proud of, for sure.
If I can follow up, just such a strange year, as with all the COVID stuff going on, you don't know probably till the morning of if your next game is actually happening. How do you keep your players fresh? I mean, this February is usually the time when teams are starting to hit that wall a little bit, knowing that the big games, the big prizes around the corner. It seems more teams are tired right now than usual. Just how do you keep your team mentally ready and physically ready to go, knowing that this has been such a ludicrous year?
I just had this conversation with a friend of mine because I asked the same question. I said, is it me, or is everybody in the country having a hard time getting their players to play at a certain energy level, intensity level, awareness level. I said, is it just me? Am I reading too much into this, or am I expecting too much out of this? And they said, listen, this idea of nobody understands this environment that you guys are trying to play in, it's real. And the impact that it's having is real. The effect that it has on players, coaches, it's real. And the cumulative effect that it has is real. And it's felt. And it's evident. It's obvious. You watch it. You feel it. You're on the sidelines and you feel it. You're in the locker room at halftime and you feel the deadness of it. And you're trying so hard to change it, to make it what you remember it to be. And it's been a big struggle for every coach, for every player. And I guess that's why now it's, like you said, we're supposed to play St. John's Wednesday night. We hope we play, number one. We hope we play well, number two. We hope we win, number three. And then get on the bus and come home and start the process all over again. It's been very, very difficult to say, let's build momentum. There is no momentum, I don't think. There's just game and then doldrums, and then game and doldrums, game and doldrums. I asked somebody today, you think players are excited to play basketball, go in the gym? And they just laughed. I think they'd rather be playing basketball than the alternative. But it's not basketball as we know it.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm. Go to Carl.
We talk a lot about, not just what a player does, but when they do it. Is that something you can see in a player as you recruit them, through high school or seeing them in USA? And is that one of the things that made Page's season so special so far?
Yeah, you can definitely see it. You can see it in recruiting. I mean, I could go through a list of players that when I watched them play in high school, I knew there was something different about them. There was something special about them. And then when they got to college, they continued doing it. I don't care if it's a shot at the end, if it's a play at the end of a shot clock, a loose ball that they get at a crucial time, a bucket at the end of the half, a bucket at the end of the quarter, a rebound that they have to get, a three-point play. Yeah, you see it. And you know who those players are. And you try really, really hard to get those players. And Page is one of those players. No question about that.
Is that something that just comes with talent or toughness?
Well, I mean, everything starts with talent. If you don't have the talent to be able to do it, no matter how bad you want to do it, you're not going to be able to pull it off. So it starts with talent. The other thing is it's a certain maturity level to be in the moment and not be in the last moment where something happened and not be in the next moment where it might happen. So it's talent, and then it's a maturity level of be in the moment that you're playing in right now, this play, And she has that, she has that maturity level. This happened the other day. I forget what game we played. I don't know. They all run together anymore, but it may have been after the South Carolina game. I forget. But anyway, so we were playing a game and I said something to the point. I said, man, we wait so long to get started sometimes. I said, we could have lost that game. We waited so long to get going. And, she looked at me, she said, but we didn't, did we? I said, no, we didn't, but that's not the point. And in her mind, well, yeah, that is the point. You thought that we wait too long, we're going to lose. And I don't think like that.
Great
for her. Great for her. Great for her. Lousy for me. Great for her.
Thank you.
Geno, do you think a younger team like yours might get a little more excited about being ranked number one? And if so, in this year when there's not so much to get excited about, that maybe you let them enjoy that rush, that high for a couple of days longer than they might normally?
Yeah, maybe this is one of those, maybe this is one of those moments where you try to remind them that don't take anything for granted, Try to celebrate little successes, even though, these people that vote you number one, you play lousy Wednesday night against St. John's and they'll vote you 10th. So, it is what it is. You understand it, but take it for what it's worth. And, I don't take compliments very well. The only thing I take worse is insults and criticism. But I don't take compliments very well. But maybe this is one of those times when we should compliment ourselves a little bit. There wouldn't be anything wrong with that.
Thanks.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not going to put up a banner saying we're number one.
Right.
Yeah, Gabby.
Hey, Geno, I wanted to actually ask about Autumn. Now that we've had a chance to just see where her personality fits in with the team and a couple months in, what was it to you that made Autumn be the one that you wanted to bring in as a walk-on when walk-ons are pretty rare in your program?
She did something that you're supposed to do in life. She wanted to come here, so she made sure that she came here. It would have been easy for her to sit home and go, yeah, I hope Coach Auriemma calls me because I really like to be a walk-on at Connecticut. She made sure that it happened. She pursued it. She worked at it. She's a great student, so she left nothing to chance. She got up here and did all the workouts, did everything that the players did. So she kind of put herself on the team. I mean, it's like, that's a real life lesson. If you want something, go after it. You want to be a part of something, go after it. And she did. And, I admire her for that. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that, the first month of practice, she shoots it every single time she touches. I had to remind her. I said, by the way, see that girl over there? She's been starting for us for a couple of years. Kristen Williams, she's really good. And see the other kid over there? She's like really good too. She's a really good shooter. You might want to pass those two guys the ball once or twice. They would kind of get a kick out of it. In her mind's like, yeah, all right, I'll think about it. She's a confident kid, man. What are you going to do? I love it. I love that about her. You know, I mean, the fact that my right leg weighs more than she does, that doesn't thrill me. But other than that.
Thanks.
Sean.
Hey, Coach. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about recruiting and how kind of COVID-19 maybe changed some things. I know UConn obviously is in a pretty doggone good position with recruiting, better so than a lot of other schools, with recruits lined up. But with the NCAA repeat rules and high schools, kids missing out, can you lend a perspective on the challenges maybe for you or for a coach or for kids? Can you talk to that?
Well, first, recruiting has become, a business. Recruiting used to be kids go play basketball, college coaches go watch, high school coaches recommend the kid. Kids will go to camps on college campuses. You watch them play. Now it's a business. People pay lots of money to promote themselves, to send videos, to let you know, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. This is how many points I have. Here's my highlight films. So it's become much more business-like, so to speak. And with the pandemic, we missed the actual part where you actually can sit in the stands and watch somebody play. So that was taken away from the kids to be seen live by college coaches, and it was taken away from the coaches to see kids live. For schools like ours, we already had, a number of kids that, one, we had seen enough of them to know. Two, we were deep enough into the process that, the pandemic wasn't going to have the same kind of effect. But you take a kid that, there's a Division I school, mid-major, low mid-major, whatever, that's trying to figure out, should I recruit this kid? Should I not? They go for a weekend, they watch the kid play 5 games, and then they offer the kid a scholarship. Well, that kid didn't get the opportunity to do that. So the high schools, I think, have taken on a much more important role now, talking with the high school coach. That's helped a lot. But it certainly has changed recruiting for the entire country, both from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint. And as I said, we're fine because we have the ability to get way ahead on kids. But I know a lot of schools, they're getting commitments and signing kids without ever having seen the kid in person. And even worse, without that kid ever being on campus and meeting the coaches. So I guess in some sense, it's like going back to the 50s. I don't know. But it's certainly not, not ideal. And now you have the one-time transfer rule. So now all these kids that go to school that realize I screwed up, or all these coaches that took kids in and said, I screwed up. Now that kid just goes and plays at a different school the following year and no problem. So maybe that's a good thing too. Take a chance. If it doesn't work, no problem. You go on to the next thing. Now, the fact that you have eligibility for all the kids that played this year can also play next year, and you already had a full roster, and now what do you do? Kid goes, I want to come back. Well, I don't really want you back. Then you're the bad guy. So a lot of this stuff is going to hit the fan at, April. We'll see how that shakes out.
Thank you, Coach.
I'm going to insert the question on behalf of Ian McAlpine. His sound's not working. It's about Aaliyah. Are you impressed so far with Aaliyah's development as a freshman, and are you confident in having her out on the court in any situation?
I am impressed. I was impressed by Aaliyah the very first time I saw her. I was impressed with her toughness and her physical ability, to run the floor, to her aggressiveness, and how relentless she pursued the ball and pursued the play. That attracted her to me immediately. When we started recruiting her, her mom and dad were great about, hey, this is what Aaliyah's looking for. These are things that are really important to her. And since she's been here, she's been everything I expected. And, we played the number one team in the country, South Carolina, on national television. And she was out there acting like I do this all the time. So, yeah, there's not a time where I don't feel like, that I'm uncomfortable having Aaliyah on the floor. And she would be a lot better, but she gets in her own way sometimes. She overthinks things a little bit, wants to be like just right. And I think as she just plays more, she just gets better and better all the time.
Go to Haley.
Funny enough, I actually was also going to ask about Aaliyah, but just obviously last time you played St. John's, she had a really good showing and has been solid off the bench. So what do you want to see from her on Wednesday and then following up for the rest of the season on the court?
Pretty much the same thing, whether Aaliyah's in the starting lineup or whether she's coming off the bench, whether she's playing 25 minutes or she's playing 35 or whether she's playing 15, whatever the case may be. I want her to be the toughest kid on the floor. I want her to be the most aggressive kid on the floor. I want her to run the floor harder than anybody else. I want her to be, an impact player every possession at both ends of the floor. And I see no reason why she can't be that and then some from now to the end of the season.
Thank you.
Dan Connolly.
Geno, back to how this season has been weird. You mentioned, I think in the preseason that the players really enjoyed coming to the gym because it was the only thing that they could really do outside of their apartments. But has it almost turned on its head that basketball is the only thing that they can do outside of their apartments, and it's almost becoming like it's harder for them to get away from basketball and take a mental break from it?
There's some of that for sure. Getting to the gym is kind of a refuge, but then you need a refuge from the refuge. And where do you go? You go back to the same thing over and over and over and over again. So it becomes very Groundhog Day, You get up in the morning, you do this, go home. Next day, get up, do this. Nothing changes. Hey, let's go do this today. No, sorry, can't do that. So that's over a period of time, I think that's taken its toll. And there's no way to get around it. Every school's had to deal with it. So you're trying to make basketball still a fun place the basketball court a fun place to be at. And sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. Hello.
Sorry, my computer went weird. Alexa, you can go.
Hey, Geno. Kind of going back to what we've been talking about, the main theme of like everyone being burned out and just this season's so bizarre compared to every other season. You guys have had pretty much the same expectations for your teams year to year, and you kind of pride yourselves on that. But for this year being just so mentally taxing, how, if at all, have you as a coaching staff had to adjust your expectations for knowing that this season isn't going to be like the rest? Are there ways that the coaching staff has tried to give the kids a little bit more of a break when they can? I know you guys had, 2 days off of practice in between these games, but have you tried to kind of adjust for just all the peculiarities of this year?
Yeah, the expectations here are always the same, and that's good. Because the kids know this is what we're trying to do. It's not so good when you don't have a team good enough to reach those expectations. So the big dilemma all the time for the coaching staff at Connecticut is always, what are our realistic expectations? What are the standards that this program stands for? And maybe we realized this year that those are two different things. That, hey, we're going to try to, live up to the standards that we have here. But we may have to have expectations that are a little bit different. And just as soon as that comes out of my mouth, my other side of my brain slaps the other side and says, what are you talking about? The expectation is the same no matter what. Should our expectations going in this year, because we have 7 new players, be, hey, listen, if we crack the top 10 sometime this year, that would be awesome. And here we are, like we're number 1 in the country. So what, we're overachieving? I don't ever want to be in that situation where, we're saying, hey, we're overachieving. I want us to feel like this is what I came to Connecticut for. Now, having said that, I can't coach this team the way I coach any other team that I've ever had. I've tried it. Don't get me wrong. I've tried it. And it didn't work. It didn't work. I'm trying something different. I'm not sure that's working, but I tried to do it the way I've always done it, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So I'm tacking, as they say in the Long Island Sound area where I hang out once in a while. We're tacking. So we're trying to go in a different way and maybe get to the same place. But definitely different.
What makes it different, and how much of that has to do with youth versus COVID?
Well, here's the problem, Alexa. I didn't feel like exercising this morning. Why? I got my COVID shot. I didn't feel good. Really? I've been eating less good stuff, and I've been eating more bad stuff. Why? I'm stressed from COVID. Hey, how come you didn't text me? You didn't call me. I haven't heard from you in 3 days. I got COVID on the brain. No, we've made it easy to just use COVID as the reason for anything we want to use it for. So is it real? Yeah. Is it there? Yeah. So what makes this season different? Is it COVID? Yeah. Is it because they're young? Yeah. Is it because they're young and COVID? Yeah. If they were older, will we handle COVID better? I don't know. But I know for me, the coaching is different. Less to do with COVID, more to do with it's just harder these days. And if COVID's not here anymore next year, it won't be any easier because it's just much more difficult now, much more difficult than it's ever been. So
we're going to go to Doug Bonjour and then Robert to finish up.
Just wanted to ask you about Aubrey for a second. Obviously, she's filled a number of different roles on the bench and kind of in the starting lineup a few games. Just what's just stood out about her and kind of her maturity here.
Well, the key thing that we're trying to help Aubrey with is be consistent and be Aubrey more consistently. And I said this before. You can watch Aubrey play for a minute and you go, this kid should start and play 40 minutes. What's wrong with the coach? Then you can watch Aubrey play for the next minute and go, this kid shouldn't play more than 1 minute in any game. So where are we? More times than not this year, we've been able to get the Aubrey that I know that can do what I know she can do, and less of the other. And where does that come from? That comes from Aubrey. And Aubrey, gives us a spark. Sometimes that spark happens quickly. Sometimes it happens later. Sometimes it happens for longer time. Sometimes it only happens short times. But Aubrey gives us a spark. And there's a lot that Aubrey can do that she's not doing, both offensively and defensively. And I'm asking her to do more. And usually when you ask people to do more, they like that. So I'm hoping that we can get her to do more of the good things that she does and less of the tentative things that she does.
Robert, to finish up.
Coach, you mentioned earlier on Paige kind of dialing in these big moments, winning time, fourth quarter. Is there any difference or uptick in her intensity ahead of big games or big team matchups or individual matchups? Is that something that plays in the preparation, or is that something you mostly notice on the game level?
I haven't seen anything different. The only noticeable difference that I've seen is the game at Tennessee. I think she looked a little bit different, or for a lot of the game, she looked a little bit different. And I asked her about it. I said, "What was up with that?" And so were you a little nervous or something? She goes, "Yeah, I was just excited. Like Connecticut, Tennessee. This is, it's the games you want to play in, a big game. And but other than that, I see the same approach from her every single day. Nothing changes. She's the same She'll be the same today at practice and tomorrow, getting ready for St. John's on Wednesday, as she will be getting ready for Xavier next weekend, as she will be getting. Now, when the NCAA tournament comes, I don't know. But my guess is she pretty much stays the same.